Well, came out of the game pretty healthy. Sunday was a good day. Not a lot of surprise injuries. Obviously, BA was a little bit sore. I mean, that gash was pretty deep and pretty sore on Sunday, but should be good for Tuesday's practice. Nobody else from the game should be limited in any way. Just some guys banged up, but nothing that'll keep people out of play on Saturday. Thought a couple guys, including Brooks Ellis. He was a guy that I hadn't made specific comments to, but we thought moving him into the starting lineup, we just lined up. That was by far our best game as of late to line up and just get people in the right positions and get the calls. They had some motions where they changed the strength of the backfield, and we adjusted to that very, very well. Two critical plays defensively were obviously the 3rd and 7 and the 3rd and 10. They gave up touchdowns. Just not going to make a good living doing that. I thought on the flip side of it, some positives. We threw the ball and caught the ball, probably as good as we have all during SEC play. Obviously ran the ball very, very well. We got to be great in the red zone. We had 2 missed opportunities, and that'll be a major point of emphasis. And obviously the turnovers were very, very costly. But there were some things that were on a positive upswing on Sunday to watch the film and get you excited about this week's opportunity. Ole Miss, obviously a good football team that's played very, very well during the course of the year, and tremendous challenge for us. There's some carryover from some of our other opponents, but they're also a unique brand of offense in themselves. And then defensively, depends on the health of some of their players, but a really good unit up front as well.
Another quarterback always gets the lion's share of the credit. Do you feel like at this point you have to maybe deflect some of the criticism on Brandon and try to spread it out?
The only criticism probably is coming from a fan base and the media. There's no criticism coming from the coaches. We see what he goes through. We know what he's dealing with. In my opinion, he's probably shown me as much, to assure me that he's for sure the best player for the job right now. Any criticism he gets is just people that don't have knowledge.
You worry about the long-term effect of a season like this on him mentally?
No, because you just see the way he responds. I think Brandon is a very tough kid. He's a coach's son, so he's had to deal with it. I think to be able to have that background, his dad has been in this business and understands the highs and lows, and he saw it as a young man growing up. So I think that helps him a great deal, and just his personality, his bravado, and to see a kid have that kind of cut on Saturday and to come back, and then you couple that with a shoulder injury that he had. Obviously, AJ came in and had his struggles, So, again, to walk onto campus last year and to have, 2 scholarship quarterbacks and be in a position we're in, it's just another sign of us trying to get stronger.
Coach, there was some talk yesterday in the media about Jeff Long maybe interviewing for the University of Texas job. He said there's no way he's leaving. I know you respect him greatly. How glad are you that he's sticking around?
It's great. Jeff was a major reason that I came here. He's got a lot of respect in the profession. To be quite honest, the very first time that I even heard that Texas was going to have that opening, I said to myself, I'm sure they'll take a swing at Jeff. How much of that became reality, or I don't know, but Jeff was pretty confident. He knew we had a large group of recruits coming in, so he shot me we had a conversation, I guess it was on Thursday or Friday, and then, never really was any question on my end, so I didn't go down that road. I didn't get, my wife hit me up on it last night, but obviously it was water under the bridge by then.
You made reference to some carryover for some other opponents to facing Ole Miss offensively, I suppose. What are the unique characteristics they do that
obviously when he's throwing the ball, he's very, very when he gets in rhythm, they're a good football team. They got a couple wide receivers that can challenge you, and the thing about their group of receivers is they've got size, they've got ability to stretch the field vertically. They're not just sometimes you'll have a large guy that doesn't maybe have range or doesn't have speed. Well, that's not the case with a couple players. They can run the ball effectively, especially when they're healthy and play very, very well. You take a look at those 2 big, Texas and LSU, they had good balance and did some good things. But, again, our defense has just got to continue to play better. We probably tackled a little bit better than we have. Still want it to be better, and obviously when you give up that many points. But we really put our defense in bad position twice. The first half was obviously the onside, and then the turnover when AJ mishandled the snap and put the ball in defense in a bad position.
Are there similarities on their run decisions back there?
A little bit. I don't think this quarterback in particular wants to keep it as much as obviously Auburn's, but the element is there, and he's got ranginess. He's got a real gritty kid. You like the way he plays. definitely a tough kid.
A message you're kind of pushing this week as you guys are teetering on that edge now, possibly not being eligible for a bowl. How are you keeping them up?
Well, I didn't really play to that. Haven't talked about bowls or anything like that. I think the mission is still just to try to improve weekly. For us, where we're at right now as a program, we're trying to get better every week, trying to get younger players to be better, trying to get our better players to play their best ball, trying to correct Saturday's mistakes and move forward. There were, 4 basic areas that I look at every week, and the arrow was up on all 4 of those for the first time on a Friday night as I sat in my room and reflected on the week. I thought our preparation was better than it had been in a long time. I thought our commitment to the academics and the social behavior had been better than it had been, and then I just thought football was up. So I'm excited. I think it's going in the right direction. You'd like to end the season with some high notes on the same account. If the neat thing about this travel, these last 3 games, it's a 70-man travel roster because we're playing at Little Rock. We got 2 away games. So I'm only putting, if we go over there with 40 people, that's what we're going. I'm going to go over there with people that want to win a game and have showed me that they're willing to do things the way we need to have them done.
A guy like Corliss Marshall, because I know that position is stacked at running back. Is there any spot you can find for him as far as working him in the offense?
Right now he's our number 3 tailback. I don't see it being as stocked as maybe you do. Really the only 2 guys getting reps have been Alex and Jay Will, and then the way they're running the ball, I'd have a hard time pulling either one of those out. Corliss is, got a limited. He doesn't have the full breadth of the tailback position as those 2 do, but he's definitely our 3rd best option. And you saw that kickoff return. I know he's dying to get back safety, and we're trying to work with him on that. He works over there certain times during the day, and I've been a head coach that really believes in letting kids play where they want to play, but out of necessity, he had to play tailback for us, and bless his heart for doing it because he's done a really good job.
He'll be a safety then in the spring.
Absolutely, yeah. He unless something dramatically changes, he'll move back to. And during the bye week, last week he worked safety, and during the bye week this coming week he'll work safety again.
Coach Javonte Herndon stepped up and had 4 catches on Saturday. He's going back to his home state. He's from Mississippi. Is it hard to try to corral a kid, and what kind of role do you think he's going to continue to play?
He's from Florida, I think, right? Yeah, he's Florida, but the Arthur Cowan is right. I think the thing about Javonte going into that this year, he was a senior that stayed healthy all the way through fall camp, and I think that Florida game maybe he was putting so much stress on because he did go home, and what I've been trying to get to him in particular and the wide receivers is just let the game come to you. Don't try to force anything. Don't worry about what you're getting or not getting. Just let the game come to you. And to be quite honest, Javonte and Julian probably had 2 best weeks of practice they've had all fall. Arthur, we were hoping to get involved in the game plan a little bit more last week, and he just didn't have a great week of practice on Wednesday, Thursday, which really affects coaches, going into Saturday's game plan. So he is going back home this week, so hopefully he can get involved. He's a guy last week I wanted to try to get involved in the punt return game, and just didn't show us there towards the end of the week what we wanted, but if he does, we will.
Brooks is from here. What has he shown in practice, and what has he done that you've been so high on him lately? Brooksy,
going back to when I first came in here in December, one of either the first or second night I was here, I was pouring through the recruiting film. I wanted to watch the guys, and I kind of saved him for last just because I'm a linebacker coach by nature and have watched and evaluated a lot of linebackers. And when I put on his film, I saw a guy that could run. He was explosive, seemed to carry all the things on film that you would get excited about as a linebacker, and then you get a chance to visit with him. You learn a little bit about his family background and his history here. It just got you excited. And then getting into fall camp, you see certain things that make you believe he's going to play and play early. We decided, I thought he'd be a starter, but just like when we started Skipper in Denver, I don't think we would be where we're at right now with them if we had started them game 1. It may sound silly to say that, but as a head coach, I learned if you throw someone in before their time, it's not going to go well. So we wanted to wait for those 2, and same thing with Brooksy. If we threw him in there too early, I think he might have gone through setbacks before advancements. We thought he was great in a good position mentally, so we put him in there during the bye week. He got 2 weeks of practice and did really, really well.
You said on your show that he erases mistakes. Just what do you mean by that?
I learned that term as a young linebacker coach. A lot of times linebackers cover up for instance, like if a defensive tackle is in the B gap or a 3 technique, and maybe he gets reached and he falls into the A gap of the linebacker. That linebacker, now a good linebacker knows to switch from that A gap to a B gap just because somebody hopped into his gap. which was a mistake of theirs, but you can correct that mistake by making an extra wide scrape. So if that makes a little bit of sense, just if we got 3 of your little mics right here, I got this gap, and this D-tackle slides, he just slips over when that guy made a mistake, and you just say that he erased somebody else's mistake. And usually a linebacker that stays square to the line of scrimmage, if he can play with his eyes up and square shoulders, he can erase a lot of mistakes.
Going back to last year, and I know this before you got, I think there's been like 7 or 8 different guys starting at middle linebacker. How hard is it to have success defensively when you're trying to find that guy in the middle there? And do you think Brooks is that guy?
I do. I think it's very difficult. I hope he is. Just in my years of coaching linebackers, your middle linebacker is your field general. He's the guy that is very, very similar to your quarterback on offense. He's the guy that you hope gets calls from the sidelines. He relays all the information inside out to defensive linemen, to the other linebackers. It goes to the DBs. He's a guy off a running back, for instance, on Saturday when Auburn would take the running back and shift him into the backfield or take him from one side and move him to the other side. It changes what they do. So you now have to adjust your troops. And you got to have a guy that's got intelligence. You got to have a guy that has a little bit of football savvy. You got to have a guy that, like I said, erases the mistakes. It's a demanding position. It's not for everybody. If you think about it this way, I don't mean to get overly technical, but outside linebackers look to a play like this. So everything is a directional view for them, either side. You're a middle linebacker, you look at football like this, and some people can't view football that way. It's just not in their, and it's just not in their DNA. And when you see Brooksy, he could see the field without turning his head. That means that he's got great vision peripherally, and all that goes into it. It's little stuff. That's what keeps me up at night, But that is a real thing. At my previous institution, they got a linebacker up there, a middle linebacker. I think is probably the best in the country. I played him at outside linebacker his first year. He was He was Big Ten Freshman Player of the Year. I moved him to Mike, and everybody's like, "Why are you doing that?" And I'm like, "Just wait and see." And now every scout that comes through asks about him. So I see those same things with him.
What's going on with Otha?
With Otha?
Otha, yeah.
I don't know. Otha's coming along. I'm not disappointed. I'm not happy yet. He hasn't shown me the consistency that we need. I know some guys that played in the past aren't playing now, but I can't be explained to diagnose why that is or isn't. He's a guy that definitely can run. I think that injury probably is hurting him maybe more. He does a lot of cut tackles. He doesn't use his hands. He doesn't play with physicality, but I think that has a lot to do with just, his health right now.
Why do you think you're not getting turnovers?
Well, obviously you create your own turnovers. I think there is a certain amount of truth to that, but on the same account, sometimes that ball's got to bounce your way. I look at the play on Saturday where, I couldn't really see it from where we were. You guys probably have better advantage that play right when we get the score and their quarterback goes around the left edge. We had a defensive breakdown, but we get the ball out and we got 3 guys to their 1, and he comes up with it, At some point, you'd like to have all these breaks get out of our system, so when they start coming our way, they start coming our way with a great year.
You don't want anybody to feel sorry for you, but when you have a stretch, 5 straight ranked teams, 8 straight weeks like you did to open the season, what kind of cumulative effect does that have on your team?
For the weak, it probably brings you down. I think for the strong, it probably it gives you a reference point in the future. It definitely does. To me, if you're a competitive guy, it actually helps you get back week to week. You're getting back against someone that's thought of very highly in this world. It's one of the major reasons why I came here is obviously to play in this league and to have an opportunity to do that. You look at Ole Miss, and obviously they're not right now, but I saw one stat where I think they've been ranked every week, or they've been had votes, to be in there, and have been ranked at some point. It is what it is. The schedule is what you have, and every year can be different. You look at, next year we have Texas Tech and Northern Illinois. When those games were probably being thought about and discussed, they weren't necessarily at the lead in the world of college football where they are today.
The grossest semifinalist came out today. Do you think it's just a matter of Hawker only having 10 kicks?
You know what? That really it irritates me. I called there 3 weeks ago, asked our communication staff to reach out to him, and then I saw that Derek hit me up earlier today that the 20 were released, and I said, well, give me the stats of those other 20 people, and there's. I'm not saying he should be in the top 5. I'm not saying he should be in the top 10, but he should be in the top 20. And it again, as long as I've been in this, it's so much based upon what you did last year. And he had such a, I know he had a good sophomore year. I know last year was a struggle, but he's 100% on field goals. I mean, he's got 1 block, and that's what he's missed. He's he's phenomenal. I called the director of the Senior Bowl again today because you're going to have a hard time telling me he's not one of the best two kickers that are seniors in college football. And he just brings so much more to the table. I know this. The scouts are aware of him, so the people that really matter. But I think Zach Hocker is truly, if he's not the best football player on our team, respective of everything else, you know what I mean? Everything we ask him to do, he delivers. He's had a couple shanked kicks where I know he's just trying to go too hard. I think he wants to win so bad he gets caught up in the moment. Some of those trick kicks like that kick against Florida, we were offsides on him. It was perfectly executed. The 53-yard field goal, what I see him do every day in practice. Really the onside that we had on Saturday, if everybody was paying attention to detail like he was, it would have been executed. I mean, they were lined up in a bunch, right? I mean, it was 100% right there, and we're just going to get it accomplished.
Did Phil give you an indication he might be on the Senior Bowl?
I think we're going to have a couple guys on it, and those will be coming out soon, but just my relationship, I had a lot of players. If a guy's a senior and I think he deserves something, I will do anything and everything I have to do, and I'm still – if anybody wants to reach out to the Grosso Award, if our Hog fans want to reach out to him, I mean, the kid, I saw one kid had he's not the lowest, it wouldn't be the lowest in point totals. There's guys on there with 70 percentile in field goal, and I know we haven't had as many opportunities. And then here's just a little thing to show how that affects it. I've gone for it several times down in the red zone, or we've had turnovers in the red zone that if those things don't exist, my guarantee he's going to hit those field goals, and he could be one of the premier guys, and all of a sudden how that affects his life and his future is huge. But you know what? When we ran that fake field goal on Saturday, he was the one who was more excited than anybody else. I just wish he would have thrown it to Diapolonio. He would have got in, but we'll take the first down.
Brett, it's a little off topic, but
There's been several.
Football coaching is a stressful business, and there's been a long line of health concerns, and then you got John Fox and Gary Kubiak this weekend. Is that something you talk to your staff about, or something you're concerned about?
As you can see, I'm a picture of great health, so comes up routinely between myself, Coach Pittman, and Coach Chaney. We make some roundabout jokes all the time. I tell you what, the first eye opener I had. To go back, to be quite honest, was when I was a GA, and Coach Fry, when he first got done with coaching, he was, diagnosed with cancer immediately right after he got done, and that kind of just made you do one of those woe's me moments. And then when Kirk Ferentz came on staff, we hired a coach by the name of Joe Philbin, who is now the head coach of the Miami Dolphins, and I remember Joe putting sunblock on his head because he had a nice little gouge where they had taken out some skin cancer, and I thought I was like 25, 26, and nothing could make me, and run around with a hat off, and it was a little bit better shape back then. And he would yell at me every day when I didn't put sunblock on because there's so many coaches that have skin cancer and all that. And then I'll go back a couple years ago, Mark D'Antonio, you guys might remember that game. I believe it was Notre Dame. They had a thriller, and he went down after the game, and missed a couple weeks. Coach Keel, who's the head coach of Minnesota, he and I are very close, and I remember him going down in some games and reaching out to him and hey, listen to your doctor. And then I obviously don't follow my diet regimen as much as I should, or workout regimen. You get so consumed. And I will say this, everybody thinks coaching is stressful. Now, you will see me mad. You will see me frustrated. You at times will say, I really don't get too worked up. I mean, I can, I go home, my two dogs love me, and my wife loves me. I can literally walk into a door and be as pissed as anybody in the world, and then just kind of let it go. I have a saying that I really truly believe in: do not worry about things you cannot control, and I think that goes a long way. But long answer to your question, stress comes from within. You create your own stress. I can't speak for those guys. I don't know Coach Kubiak very well. I don't, what the situation is there. But it is scary things. But those happen in everyday life. I think it just gets magnified because it's a football coach.
Brett, you mentioned last week the developmental players. I don't think you wanted to discuss who might be in the plans, just to keep that under wraps. But I'm just curious to some more of those guys in, say, A.J. Turner's rehab and how he's doing?
Yeah, AJ does. He is in rehab, but he hasn't even really for the last 2 months been with the program as far as practice or anything like that, just because to get that wrist and everything right. But offensively, the development of Austin Allen and Damon Mitchell gets you excited. I mean, they're not at a level right now that can help us, but I think those two guys in particular have really gotten better when you watch a scrimmage and stuff like that. On the at the running back position, fullback position, there's a kid by the name of Chris Jones, who's a walk-on from here in the state that is very, very exciting because Kiero leaves. We really don't have anybody in that backup role. He'll fly right by Patrick Arens, I think. I think defensively, there's a kid by the name of Tevin Beanham that is just changed his body. He's from a 240 to 265-pound kid that plays with a great motor and doing extremely well. He's a guy that jumps out to me right away. And then there's another player on defense, DeAndre Coley from Miami Northwestern, who came in at 168. I think he weighs 188 now. He tackles everything in sight. I have to get on him every day because he's trying to hit our running backs when he's not being blocked. And he's just got a little. He's Mr. Shy. Doesn't say really anything, but I think a really, really good player in the working.
The definition of a touchdown catch is different than like diving across and breaking the plane if you're a running back. So Javonte had to maintain possession all the way through the catch. So no dispute with that touchdown call. No.
You want to write the check? I know. Everybody gets frustrated. I will say this, without a doubt, I think the officials in this conference are more consistent than any other league I've been in at this point. I'll always send in a couple plays, that show it, that show certain things that I don't agree with. I only sent in 4 this week. That's probably about norm. Sometimes I've only sent in 2. Sometimes I might send in 6. That's one I just want a definition in because he took a couple steps, but the ball is a little bit loose on the bottom side, which is what they did. I think that is one, though, Tom. I think that if that's called a touchdown on the field, I don't think it gets overturned. And, that just shows you how critical the on-the-field call is because I think that one, when it goes to the booth, if it had been the other way, I don't think it gets flipped, to be quite honest. So, yeah.
Did you send that play in? Was that one of the ones that you sent in?
You know what? I didn't even send that one in because I already know what the response would be. I sent in what I sent in. The onside sprinkles legal by about 1.5 yards, and I feel bad because I jumped him pretty good. Made an apology. That's one thing I've learned as a coach. When something happens, don't really, because you could be wrong come Sunday. And I kind of, at first I grabbed, I heard 3 and I thought it was Corliss, so I let Corliss, and he quickly said, no, it was a sprinkle. So they could probably tell by the color I was at that point that I wasn't happy. But we stressed and worked it, and then, that's just a classic. You talk about turnovers. That onside hits that kid in the leg, like drills him. There's so many times where you see that ball go 15 different directions except for right in front of him. It gets frustrating, but on the same account, it's also what brings you back, and we've all been a part of it. It's the one thing that I have loved, and I told this to our coaches yesterday. If we weren't doing things right, if we didn't have kids believing, if we didn't have kids believing in what we were saying, we'd be having problems right now. We'd have kids that would be erupting on the sidelines. We'd have kids that are being problems in the classroom or doing some things that are just really disruptive to what's going on, and everybody just keeps humming. Everybody just keeps sawing wood. Everybody just keeps moving themselves in the right path. Senior day was not easy. I had some of those kids are really hard to walk out that door knowing that I only got 3 games left with them because they're really special human beings. And if that feeling wasn't going on, we'd be having problems. But it's just going to get better. I know it doesn't do anybody good right now, but it's going to get better in a short fashion.
You watched the goal line plays, and you haven't had goal line play. I think I went back, I couldn't find any all year, really.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's a great point. It takes me back to when I was a young coordinator. I remember we would devote almost 15 periods or 15 minutes of practice each week out of Tuesday and Wednesday to goal line. And I remember at the end of the year, I went back and we had 4 clips of goal line in an entire season. And I'm like, well, why are we practicing that much goal line? Because it is so critical. But that was really the reason I went for it. I mean, obviously I wanted to win the game and everything, but I wanted to set a mentality there for our guys, not just of this team, but teams of the future about what we're going to be able to do there. Obviously, we could have called a different play and all that goes into it, but we didn't get up to the backside backer, something that's very, very paramount. And because in goal line, that backer knew he needed to attack immediately. Any hesitation in the goal line leads to poor performance. So it's something that we'll get better on, not just this year, but also in the years to come. And that's a great point. It's kind of like at the end of the year, I wanted to keep using my timeouts because I wanted to get as many plays of 2-minute in that we could get in, because there's no better opportunity to practice than actual game situation. Even though we had a very slight chance of winning the game after that last touchdown, but it was definitely a mentality thing.